This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. This is episode number 396, and my guest today is Danny Johnson. Danny's a successful real estate investor out of San Antonio, Texas, but he's also a web and online lead generation expert, specifically in the real estate investing industry. Today we talk about why your online presence matters. Now, even if you aren't doing traditional advertising online yet, the internet is not a fad. And no matter what you're doing in this industry, buyers, sellers, anyone that could potentially want to work with you is researching you online. If you haven't built your online presence yet, or if you have a presence but you've been neglecting it, this is a much-watched show. Please help me welcome Danny Johnson to the show. Hey, Danny, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Glad to be on.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Good to see you, too. Yeah, I think February, was what we were talking about.
Yeah, I saw you at an event in February,
yeah.
ClickFunnels event. And obviously, when you were talking about this, you were on the show before, and that was, over 2 years ago. It's like 2 years, in September of 2015, so a little over 2 years.
Yeah, it's scaring me how fast time is flying by.
I know.
I can't believe
I know.
It's been so.
The cool thing is there's a lot of wisdom that's being created over this period of time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, I'm excited to talk about online. We're kind of starting the new year here. We've had a series of shows on people getting started, setting their action plan in place, getting ready to kind of take the world by storm. And so for those that haven't yet embraced the online, their online presence, that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, I think it's super important, and not enough people. And it's surprising me who hasn't. When I've got a lot of high-level friends that have been doing, big-level investing across the country, and to find out, that hardly any of them, generate the majority of leads from online. And I think it's kind of crazy. Yeah,
it's an opportunity. When your grandparents are active users of Facebook, then something you need to have a solid presence of your business online.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Hey, before we kind of dive in, and everybody that's listening today, we're going to give you an action plan at the end of where to get started, how to start building your business online, or even if you have a website right now, and if you've neglected it for a while, like it needs to be updated, and you need to focus on generating leads online, because that's clearly where things are moving. But for Danny, if you could just give us an introduction, tell us a little bit more about you and your background before we get started here.
Okay. So I started flipping last week, and we've my wife and I have been flipping houses in San Antonio for 14 years, I think now. Yeah, since 2003, and always here in San Antonio. It's a pretty good market. It's a great market to be flipping. We're just 4 or 5 hours south of you in Dallas.
Yep.
And great market. We love it here. And when I got started, you want the whole beginning, how we got started?
Sure, yeah. Give us the whole thing.
All right. So my dad was a contractor when I was growing up. He was actually doing the work for a house flipper here in town. And I remember as a kid going over and shoveling stuff. What I found out to be later was like the asbestos shingles on the floor, that I'd be grinding up and shoveling into wheelbarrows, not knowing that that's what that was. But anyway, no problems yet from that. We'll see in the future. So he was doing that for a long time as when I was growing up, and I had some experience as a kid on these job sites, right, on these houses, fixing them up, and. My dad was a smaller contractor. He wasn't like the guy that was driving around in the giant F-350 and just managing crews. He was doing the work.
Right.
And so I learned early on the type of contractor typically you should be looking for to work with as a house flipper, just because it just works out much better that way. You don't have the huge overhead of a big GC. But anyway, so I went to college to be a software developer because I didn't want to shovel asbestos style, right? So I got my computer science degree and started working for a defense contractor in San Antonio, working in the SCIF, which is basically a room without door, like windows and locked doors and all this kind of stuff. And so all this, fluorescent lights and everything. And then the people that I worked in that skiff with would listen to the Proclaimers, I think is the name of that band, that I Would Walk 5,000 Miles song.
Yeah.
That song would be on repeat every day, all day long. I don't know why. So I had to have my headphones on the whole time, and it was just driving me crazy. But while I was there working on that job, my father actually started being mentoring by the guy he was working for and started flipping houses himself. And so, it was just amazing to see every time I talked to him, like this new life that he had, right? Like he was just so excited and so pumped about everything. He couldn't stop talking about it. And, the success he was having and everything, and just, just like changed his whole life, really. Yeah. And, so it got me excited about it. And so I was watching some VHS tapes that he had in the garage that he had ordered or whatever. It was Carlton Sheets, I think is who it was.
Okay.
Training on VHS tapes, right? And I popped them in, excited, I'm going to learn this business too. And, I guess he was making these phone calls, right, about, cold calling, trying to get terms, like special terms on people selling FSBO.
Okay.
And I remember being so disgusted going, man, I can't do that. That's not something I want to do. I don't want to be calling people and asking if they give me terms and all this stuff I didn't understand. So I boxed those up. I just put them back where I found them. I was like, well, maybe I don't want to do that. And, some time went by, though, and my dad kept having success and stuff. And so I, decided, okay, well, I'm going to try this again and ask for his help and see what we can do. And started doing the business part-time. So during lunch, I would take off and I'd check on the rehabs. And, evenings and weekends, anytime we weren't at work, we were working, but it didn't feel like work. Doing all this fun stuff where you're driving all around town, finding all these areas you didn't even know existed in your city, and just amazed by some of the housing stock and stuff, and in places where people are fixing up houses. So it was exciting. And it took us about a little over 2 years to go full-time. And, I was one of the people that struggled with going full-time. Because I was like, well, we're kind of consistently finding deals, but it still was a little bit scary to me. Like I wanted the steady paycheck. That was always my fallback.
Right. That was the engineer in you.
Yeah, maybe so. And so it took them letting me go from work. So it turns out they did find out that I hadn't really been doing much at the office other than learning how to flip houses on the farms. But hopefully they're not listening to this. But that was so long ago anyway.
Yeah.
So my wife worked with me there, and she actually said, hey, you want to go downstairs and I need to tell you something. And she told me, well, your manager came to me and said that they were going to let you go and wanted to ask if I could break the news to you because he figured it'd be really hard. And I smiled real big and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is what I needed. Like, I don't, and I was excited about it.
Yeah.
And she said, well, he told me he was going to do everything he could to fight to keep you on. And I said, no. I need to go talk to him. So I went and talked to him and said, hey, don't do that. I'm ready to go. And so, they let me go, and, usually people be down and out, but I was super thrilled knowing I wouldn't have to get up and go to work the next day, and I would just be focused on the business.
Yep.
But, and then that was hard, and just like, when you're so used to doing the business so long part-time, you find ways to be efficient. You find ways to do the things that matter and cut out the garbage that's a waste of time.
Right.
Because you have to. And so when you go full-time, it's kind of weird because you have that extra time and you feel like you got to fill it, and you start filling it with those things that don't require.
Not as critical.
Right. It's like a waste of time mostly. Like designing new business cards, who cares?
Right.
Stuff like that. And so it's amazing. So when people are thinking, well, I need to go full-time because, they don't have the time to be able to do this stuff. It's like, well, you can kind of do it part-time really until you really get good at it, because if you're good at doing, depending on your circumstances, right? If you've got small children at home that you got to take care of, maybe it's a little bit different, but it is pretty amazing. And that was a struggle going full-time to find what to do with my time at that point. So it's good to do it for long enough to where you can make sure that your system's in place to do everything efficiently and really can get maximum benefit from that. So
it's funny how there's a lot of real estate investors that, they want, when people jump into the business or when people get into the business, we want freedom, right? It's financial freedom is one thing, but it's also just kind of freedom of our time. Yet a lot of us feel guilty when we're not that busy. And it's like, well, I just need to stay busy to justify myself or whatever, right? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's like that fear that if you don't, things are going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So it's like
but you're not even working. Like you said, you tend to fill it up with stuff that's not like mission critical. It's just like stuff to keep you busy, you know? Mm-hmm. Or starting websites or other things that are just going to distract you, right? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, you get in there and try to do it yourself, right? Mm-hmm. But, some of the early things, like getting in and being scared, like sending out the first marketing pieces, putting out the first bandit signs, which are illegal in a lot of places, to make sure that it's fine where you are if you have to get a permit or something to put them out. But I remember being scared to death, like doing those things and putting out maybe 12 bandit signs and then thinking, oh man, my phone's going to ring off the hook. And then you find out, no, you're not going to get any calls. You might get one. Yeah. Or whatever. And just doing a lot of that marketing stuff and getting used to talking to people and then knowing that you're going to probably go to some people's houses and not know exactly what to say or how to answer questions that they ask you. But just going and, one of the things that helped was in the beginning, like I would, even if it was like the furthest thing from a deal, because they owed so much or something, I'd still schedule the call and go there to the appointment because it made it easier for me. I was like, I know there's no way I can buy this house. So I can go and not have that like weighing on me of whether I'm going to have to pull the trigger or not and try to put this thing under contract. Right. And so you can walk through and get used to talking with sellers and find out what they're asking you and all that kind of stuff without fear of like missing a deal because there's no way there could be a deal. Yeah. Now, obviously, if they're in dire circumstances, you don't want to waste their time, but anyway, that kind of helped.
Yeah. Are you looking to change your life through real estate investing? If you're interested in either getting started or taking your business to the next level, please check out FlipNerd's Real Estate Investor Coaching Program at flipnerd.com/coaching. I'm Mike Hambright, founder of FlipNerd.com. I'm not only a successful real estate investor that's purchased hundreds of houses directly myself, I've been a mentor and coach for real estate investors for over 8 years. In fact, I've mentored hundreds of other investors, many of which started with little to no prior experience. And during the time that I mentored those specific investors, they purchased over 3,500 properties. We have limited access in our program on how many people we can work with at a time. If you'd like to learn more about our FlipNerd Real Estate Investor Coaching Program, we'd like to schedule a call with you to see if you might be a fit. If this sounds exciting to you, please visit flipnerd.com/coaching to schedule a call with a member of my team. We're looking to change lives through real estate investing. I've worked with many, many others. If you'd like for us to consider you, please go to flipnerd.com/coaching right now to get started.
So I can go and not have that like weighing on me of whether I'm going to have to pull the trigger or not and try to put this thing under contract. Right. And so you can walk through and get used to talking with sellers and find out what they're asking you and all that kind of stuff without fear of like missing a deal because there's no way there could be a deal. Yeah. Now, obviously, if they're in dire circumstances, you don't want to waste their time, but anyway, that kind of helped. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into talking about people building their online presence. So I think there's a lot of, it's pretty widely discussed that direct mail and things like that are kind of the foundation of lead generation, but that's obviously quickly shifting, and there's a lot of folks that have kind of ignored their online presence for way too long now. But let's just talk about kind of why you have to be online these days.
Yeah, so the perfect example of this is I was at my dentist office weeks ago, and I walked out. I was leaving there, and there was two people standing outside, a man and a woman. And I heard, just as I was passing them, I heard the man say, I don't know, I looked for them online and I couldn't find them. And so I got on Facebook and I couldn't find them either. And then the woman responds, well, I guess we'll got to find somebody else. And I was like, wow, that's really like how many people are saying that about things? How many people are doing exactly that now? Right. Where it's so easy to find out about who you're working with or who you're going to be, looking to use and all that kind of stuff. And at my house right now, we're looking at having a pool built. And so what do we start with? Obviously we'll go online, right? We research everything, we check reviews, and then we get appointments with the ones that seem to have the best.
Yeah. And you want to see you probably want to see pictures of their work, like all those things. Yeah. I mean, that's how I would eliminate people that don't have pictures of their work.
Right.
Right. I mean, you kind of want to see what they're capable of. Right. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry,
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. And like what type of houses, I mean, for our industry, what type of houses they buy and that kind of stuff and how it works and the reviews from people that have used them. They want to hear from people and not just have some text thing, but a video that shows somebody saying how awesome the experience was.
Right.
Goes a long, long way. And, so what's happening, and I think that, I can't be 100% sure, but my feeling is that the people sending a lot of direct mail or that are seeing these declines in response rate has something to do with it, right? Because when you send that postcard or that letter, what are the people likely doing more and more? They're saying, who is this? And they'll go online. Even if you have your domain name on there, I notice so many people, I tell them a domain name and I'm sitting by them, and you would think they would just punch that in with the .com and go, right? But they type it in and hit search.
Right.
And it's like searching. So like this is happening whether you put the domain name or just your business name or something.
Right.
And they're going online to find you. So if you're not there, who are they finding, right?
Yep.
They're finding your competition, and your competition might have reviews, and your competition might have that information. And what do they end up doing? Going with competition. Right. So you're kind of losing out. You're driving business to your competition. And this day and age, it doesn't, obviously, being the founder of Lead Propeller, that's what we kind of provide as these online presences that are super easy to set up. But,
right.
But really, I mean, it doesn't take much to have that, and just have it there, just to have like a backup there and be there. And really, what I tell more and more people, please excuse me, my mouth is kind of dry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Is that it as time goes on and people get more and more reviews, and honestly, being in this, like generating thousands of motivated seller leads online myself for our own business, for over 10 or 12 years, just in the last maybe 2 years tops, I noticed people starting to really kind of get reviews, for their websites and stuff like that, which is crazy. Not testimonials, but I'm talking about like reviews. So when you type in something and you see like a maps thing on Google and they show you the business with the reviews on it. And that might just be because that's become available in that amount of time. But it's still at the point where in most places people don't have a whole lot of them or any at all. But what happens is more and more people catch on to this and they start to build those. If you wait 2 years from now and you look and your competition's got 30 plus reviews, how hard is that to compete with those guys? Like,
yeah, unless you have to be able to catch up.
Right. If you don't start now, you don't start working on it. And Google's pretty smart too. It's like you can't just go and like have people leave you those, going around with an iPad or something like that. Get people leaving you those reviews. They'll get rid of them.
Yeah.
And we've had legitimate reviews left for us that got removed from Google for whatever reason. And it just kind of sucks. But it's like one of those things that happen. You gotta.
You just call Google. Just call Google and say.
Yeah, that works. That works well.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, more and more people are searching for everything online. I mean, I'm even to a point now, this is outside of our industry, but if I'm at a store looking for something, I'm like, they kind of have what I want, but that's not really what I want. Like, I'll go straight to Amazon. And sometimes I'm buying a product or something I want while I'm in a store, like in the aisle for that thing. It's just like not exactly what I wanted. Or sometimes I just look and it's like, oh God, it's a better price and I don't have to like carry it home now, you know? So yeah, I think more and more people are. I mean, I know I search. I just did all. We probably do all of our Christmas shopping on Amazon or online. Yeah. It's just the way of the world these days, right?
Right. That's what we're doing. It makes it so nice and so much easier too. And one thing with the pool that doing the research on that I noticed too is that we didn't just Google it either. It's like we looked on Facebook, because people can leave the reviews on Facebook. And so, we got on there too to see, because, if you're just on somebody's website and you see their testimonials, unless they're like a video one, you kind of like, well, who knows who left that or whatever, and see it on Facebook, and then even asking around on communities on Facebook. Yeah. Like we have a local one here, and we asked other people, like, who have you used? Who do you recommend? And some of the ones we were considering using, we decided not to because people said stay away from them. Yeah. And so reputation, number one, is always any business is key, right? You never want to do something that doesn't go along with what you said you were going to do.
Right.
So that's number one. And number two is just like making sure that you have these presence in these places so that people can do that and recommend you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people in the real estate investing industry haven't focused more online? Is it just because of they're small, maybe a one-man, one-woman band, just don't have the resources or capacity to kind of get to it? Or why do you think people haven't put more focus online?
Yeah, I'm talking to a lot of our clients. At Lead Propeller, it's really, it seems to be just that it's daunting, right? You don't really know if it's going to work for you, how much is it going to cost, how long is it going to take, what to expect, what are the things that you're going to need to do. and the whole thing is just, sort of like, I don't understand it, so I don't want to get involved in it, and I don't have the time to learn it.
Right.
I don't want to learn it.
Right.
And so, and that's kind of I think that's the biggest problem, because we can provide the website and it's got the content already in it. You can get your domain name through us and have it set up within minutes. But then what do you do from there? Because you gotta be able to drive traffic to it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the piece maybe that scares a lot of people. And it's also, we offer services though to do that for people. But I think that's probably the big thing, is they're not exactly sure what to do once they have the site.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think with services like yours, it's easier than ever these days because people don't have to figure that out themselves, right? They just, there's solutions out there now. But,
right, and the key, and what, like we were just talking about, really, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to get a site and then set up what you want to do. For people listening, we're talking about these reviews online that are not just on your website, but once you have a website, set up a Google My Business page. Google My Business page, and that's where you can get those reviews from people on Google for your business. And so once you have that going and you got a little bit of momentum, when people type in your brand, it's going to pull up on the page and hopefully show up your website and show that Google My Business listing over to the right side. And, they'll be able to see those reviews and all that kind of stuff on there. And if they're on maps or whatever, that'll show up on maps too, is like those, the reviews on there.
Right.
So the Google My Business, and then the Facebook business page. So set up a Facebook business page as well. And even if you don't have the website, set up that Facebook business page just to have that presence, and then start posting some things about what you do and people that you've helped.
Yeah.
To start getting all that, the online assets built up so that you have something to...
Yeah, I think, just like everything, I think people just need to work it into their processes to say, here's how I do this, and it could be something like, it's every once in a while there's something that I say, it's like, well, do it as I say, not as I do, because I'm not even doing this yet. But every time it's come up a couple of times over the last few months, and I was about to say something. I'm like, why am I still not doing that? Like, have my title company capture reviews, because I don't go to a title company. I mean, we do everything via FedEx, and we have notaries in my office, and so I never go to the title companies. I never, I have tons of sellers that I never see. I have acquisitions guys that are contracting with them. My office manager is managing the communications, and they close the title company, and I'm talking to the title company, if anything, right? And so it's just giving the title company some incentive to just say, hey, I'll give you $20 if you help me get just ask this person to go, while you're sitting at the closing table, go to this link and like fill this out. Because once they're closed, good luck like getting anybody to do anything, right? They're kind of once they've sold the house and they're done.
We've had some luck getting some.
Have you?
With some automated emails that go out afterwards.
Yeah.
A series of maybe 3 or 5 with simple instructions. Yeah. And one thing you want to be careful about is with the title company thing is if you have them using some sort of IP address or something from one computer that's the same that they're getting all these from. That's when they magically disappear sometimes.
Yeah. Google thinks it's fake because there's somebody else just left another review from that same location yesterday or last week.
Even though they got to log into their own Gmail account to do it.
Right.
But so having them do it on their own phone, or something like that, doing those kind of things can help. But.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of jump into an action plan. I really want people to take action, and if they're hearing this today and they're like, I've been meaning to get my website started, I've been meaning to update my website, make it mobile friendly, whatever, just let's start to talk about what people can go do today to take action to start not only updating or completing their online kind of presence, but then how to create content and how to focus on generating leads. So
Right.
where do you recommend people start at?
Okay, so the start obviously is the center of it all is the website, right?
Yeah.
And whether if you've got a website already, great, that's awesome. I'm going to give you some tips that you can do to enhance that website to get more out of it. If you don't, then all these things I'm talking about are already built into the websites that we provide at Lead Propeller. But basically, at the center of the strategy is the high converting website. And what makes it high converting are those things that we've been talking about already, the things that people are looking for when they go to your website. So let's just imagine we're some seller that wants to sell our house and we're looking for somebody to buy it. So it's like they get onto Google and type, sell my house fast, Dallas. And then, up comes, Mike's website. And when they get on that website, what are they thinking, right? Like, who is this? What is this about? How does this work? And are they somebody that I want to work with? Do I trust this person, or whoever's behind this website?
Right.
And it's kind of these things that they're maybe thinking about as they go through this. And so from the beginning, having that call to action about what you want them to do needs to be very clear. So a lot of times it's having that short form up at the top of the page, with like an arrow to it or something, it says get your cash offer. So they know exactly what they can do and what they should do to accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. Beyond that, having the things for credibility. So it's the testimonials, video testimonials, text testimonials with pictures of the person that left you the testimonial. The Better Business Bureau accredited business logo. I wrote that off for so long saying, oh, that's garbage, that's, that's not something anybody cares about. And, it's sort of like the car commercials with the, what's that award that they're always giving?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I can't remember it either.
It's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, I'm sure somebody's screaming it right now, listening to this thing because they know it, but I can't. Yeah, J.D. Power and Associates.
Right.
And it's like, what is that? Who gives that out? Like, how much does that cost? Right. And that's how I kind of felt about the Better Business Bureau thing. Mm-hmm. And until we started using it, right? We used it on all the direct mail. We used it on a postcard. And I don't know how many sellers would call us and tell us that they went with us because of that. Because we were an accredited business. And the other mail they got or the other websites they went to, the people weren't.
Yeah.
And so it still holds a lot of weight. And when you consider, I guess, a lot of who, at least we as investors here in San Antonio buy from, it's typically people over the age of 40, 40, 50, 60, right around there is like who we're typically buying from.
Right.
And they still value those things as being a real legitimate, measure of how credible or, because people can easily go to those websites and tell about how bad of a service you had. And, so that's why they like seeing that you're accredited. There's nothing bad against you on there. Mm-hmm. So the next thing for credibility is you've got the testimonials, but then having yourself, like who's behind this website, I think is a question a lot of people ask. And whenever I look across Lead Propeller sites, at the pages that people are going to is obviously the homepage gets a ton of traffic, right? The second most visited page is usually the About Us page, which is just telling you, like, they want to know, like, who is this? Like, what is...
Who would I be talking to? Who am I working with here?
Right. So many people can set up a website and they have no idea who's, like, maybe one person's got 20 websites. They don't know. But when you do that and you say who you are and show who you are and why you're doing what you do, it goes a long way because people want to connect with you, want to trust and feel like it's somebody that they, would want to do business with. And I think, that was a mistake I made early on doing website, having a website was I made it real corporate. And, I felt like it had to be super professional because I was, the cash house buyer and I needed to be, this business guy. And, reading what I had written on that early website, I was like, wow, like who would even want to read this? It's garbage. It's such a sales pitch, right? Like it's nothing that really helps do anything other than just like turn somebody off or bore them to death.
Right.
So especially if
you've seen that people want to work with people like more so than a corporate brand. That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, and I think you can have the brand, but put personality behind it. Put the person behind it. It just goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
We've got a customer, Alex, in Las Vegas, and he's got a picture on his About Us page of him and his a girlfriend, I think, and his dogs with sunglasses on. He's got dogs on a separate picture with 2 dogs with their big, like, bright orange sunglasses and stuff. And you would think, what is he doing? That's so unprofessional. But no. The people see, like, the guy loves dogs, and he's a likable guy, and, he's got some information about himself, his core values.
Yeah.
And it just goes a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's counterintuitive to what I think a lot of people think initially. They think, I can't compete with the big brands. I can't compete with some of the big people out there. But the truth is and you're not the first person I've heard say that. I've had conversations like this before, that people just want to work with who they think is going to knock on their door. May or may, like if I had my picture on my website, I wouldn't probably be because I have acquisitions manager, so it probably wouldn't be me knocking on their door, most likely. But they still want to believe it's like a local person. They live here, they work here, their family's here. I've heard that over and over again.
Yeah, for sure, it works. And your case is the same as mine. And it's interesting because what we did was, on the About Us page, my wife and I and one of our daughters, and then we have pictures of our team underneath with a little bit about them. And then, so I'm not the one going either. I don't talk to them on the phone. I don't even know most of the houses anymore that we're flipping because the team's doing it.
Yeah.
And, when I see the testimonials that come in or the reviews on Google, because I'll get an email, and almost all of them say, Grayson or Landon. It's like people on the team, like they were awesome.
Yeah.
And it's all great. Under Danny Buys Houses, but it still works. It's all the team. And
yeah.
So anyway.
That's awesome. So let's talk about one of the other things I think scares people away is the idea of doing paid advertising or having to create content. Some of the things that, people that are really focused on it spend a lot of effort and maybe a lot of money on those things, but in effort to kind of not scare people away from like, well, even if you're not going to spend a lot of money or you can't like write a bunch of blogs or create a lot of video content, you should still do these things. Maybe talk a little bit about kind of paid advertising and SEO or kind of content creation stuff.
Okay, yeah. So, this touches again on you got the website and you want to send traffic to it. Now, we're going to talk about all these things, and most of these things don't happen for people right away. They don't just get a website and start doing all this stuff and start having success. You got to start somewhere, and I think starting with having that presence, having the Google My Business, the Facebook business page, and doing those things, get you set up and get you going so that further success as you have time to do it or hire somebody else to do it is easier to do. But generating this traffic. So for free traffic, what I'm always recommending is Craigslist ads to do free traffic, because you'll go on Craigslist and look for houses wanted or houses for sale, houses for rent, and see other investors have ads in there.
Right.
And the majority of the time the guys will post them once and then twice, maybe for a week, and then quit just because it's like, well, I didn't get anything, so I'm going to stop doing it.
Right.
Hire a VA to do it for you repetitively. You're going to get some of them flagged. Don't freak out and quit. Just set up new accounts and keep going, right? Because most of the time people flagging them are just competitors. You just have to outlast them. And
you're saying post ads that say that you buy houses and try to send people back to your website to fill out a form and generate a lead that way. Okay.
Right, and you can't have links on there. So what you do is, you just put it in the text, but then also create an image, and you can use Canva. Canva.com, I guess it is, and you can create graphics really quickly and easily for free, and put your logo or whatever and your website and phone number on those ads.
Right.
Right there. Put a call to action to call you. You want people to call you above everything, if you can. And so you can post those, and not just doing the post either that are like we buy houses or sell your house fast, but ones that are related to the situations that somebody might be facing, right? Because if you can speak to them about the problem that they have, they're going to see you as the authority of the person that they want to talk to over the guys that are just saying we buy houses. Right. I still think having the majority of them be we buy houses or sell your house fast or cash house buyers or whatever, work great, but have one that says like, how does this we buy houses thing work? So if you see all these ads like we buy houses and one of them says, how does this thing work? And the people are wondering like, what is all this we buy houses stuff? Right. Who are they going to click on, right? You're going to get them and you're going to show them how it works, right?
Yep.
And you're going to be the guy that educated them or the gal. And then the other one's facing the circumstances. So typical circumstances that we see The ones where, obviously foreclosure, even though we don't get a whole lot of foreclosure stuff ourselves.
Right.
Was a lot of inherited stuff, a lot of inherited properties that need a lot of work.
Yep.
I think is the vast majority of circumstances where we buy these houses.
But you're saying are you still talking about Craigslist, like running ads for circumstances that you getting divorced, need to sell your house, like just trying to identify with somebody that might be reading it.
Right. So it's like splitting up and want to sell that thing quick.
Yeah.
We're just having a couple ads like for these different things like that because you never know.
Right.
And I don't know if you can get away with it. One thing that, obviously, and like you said, I'm not doing this right now either, even though I should be. You just get so busy with all this other stuff. But,
right.
The ones like in the, where people are looking for contractors, that need some repairs on their house.
Yeah.
It's like if you can get away with putting an ad in there that's not so blatantly out of the category, right? So it's like, house need a lot of repairs, here's the solution or something, and then...
Don't fix it, sell it.
Right,
Stuff
give
like
them an option.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, there's a lot of different things that you can do with the Craigslist ones. And it's funny because I had done a webinar a couple years ago where I talked about doing these these Craigslist ads. And... And believe it or not, at the time, I wasn't even doing them myself. I had already quit doing them, like I was busy with other stuff, doing SEO and all this other stuff. And one of a local investor here in San Antonio called me and said, hey, I loved your training, and I got my first deal by running a Craigslist ad. And I said, really? Well, tell me about the deal. And she's like, I'm going to make $100,000. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Had I been doing them.
Right.
I would have maybe got that because it was right here in town, right here in San Antonio. So, congratulations. That was awesome. So it really does work. Obviously not everybody has that success.
Yeah.
And you don't just land something right away, but they can be had, and they are had quite a bit.
It's like everything. You just got to be consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The other source of traffic that you can get is with SEO, so search engine optimization. And we get this question all the time: that are your website SEO, are they search engine optimized? And yes, they are, but here's the thing with search engine optimization. Like, we can do as much as we can on the websites themselves, but there's outside things that need to happen, usually to rank whenever you have competition. And most everybody has competition now. Mm-hmm. And I think this is what keeps a lot of people out of this, because they think maybe the only way is through SEO, and it takes a while, and there's competition. Right. And who knows what works and what doesn't. I don't know how many times I spent evenings, in my earlier years of getting my site ranked. Because once you get to the top, it's not as hard to stay there than getting there.
Right.
But in getting there was so frustrating. And I remember evenings, in bed and on my keyboard, my laptop, doing these things like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? And I do all this stuff. And I get these backlinks. And then I come back and check a month later, and it's like my site is dropped in the rankings. I'm like, oh man, did I hurt my site? What happened?
Right. And
so you never know, and usually it's just a matter of waiting longer, and then the site ends up showing up. But SEO is something. So the sites is really well optimized, right, as much as we can, which is necessary, because a lot of times you can rank for certain things, long tail keywords, which means longer keyword searches. Not we buy houses, but something like. How to sell my house that I inherited, or something like that. Might be a little bit easier to rank for. But SEO, the big key with SEO is time. If you're going to do SEO work, and we offer it here professionally, but even with the professional, a lot of times in these bigger markets, what you're looking at is usually at least 8 months to 12 months to see that. So it's an investment. But here's the big thing that's so good about that is that's what keeps most people from really working at doing it, right? And then once you're at the top, it's so much harder to get you dethroned. And so it's really not impossible to do it, and it's just a matter of committing and knowing that investment is going to go in and do that. And so once you're ranking, so the majority of my leads right now come from organic ranking, so I'm not paying anything to have my site show up in those rankings. Google does that for me, but it takes work to get there.
Right.
And so, if you're spending, on our service anywhere from, roughly about $1,000 to, $1,500 a month. If you look at 10 months of that, what is that going to cost you? But if that gets you to the first page and gets you up to the top 3 positions, like how many deals can come from that over time is just a no-brainer. But I think that commitment of spending that monthly money without seeing those results yet keeps so many people on the sidelines, right?
Right. There's a lot less competition in that space.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's tricky. But, one thing that we do that really I think helps with people with that is every month is we do a report and it shows all the ranking movements. So you get to see the progress. So, it's not just like, I don't know what's happening. They tell me it's working. I don't know. It's like you get to know that it's working.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So that's free stuff. And then PPC, right? So if you want to start using a website to get leads and deals right away, the best way to do that is with PPC. And the reason is the people going online to search for things related specifically to needing to sell a house. And I'm not just saying sell a house, but needing to. Mm-hmm. Having a circumstances that causes them to want to find somebody like you to make them an offer to have that house go away quickly. And so when you do pay-per-click, you get to show up at the top of the search results in the ad spots on Google. So when you do a search, and those top ones are ads, top 4 are ads. You pay to get there, right?
Yep.
And now there's an algorithm involved, of course, and so it's not just as easy as outspending everybody, which is kind of good because if you've got a good website that Google thinks is very relevant, you pay less to be higher placed. So it's actually really nice. But the key with PPC is, just like the SEO I was showing you, 8 to 12 months, like knowing that it takes that long, with a service doing that to get there, then you find success, whereas most people don't know, and they put the money out there that this is expensive, I don't see anything happening, I'm quitting. And that probably happens 90% of the time.
Right. Yep.
Or more. People put the money in and then stop when it's horrible to stop. It's like doing just a little bit of direct mail at a time and never doing enough to make a difference.
I was about to say the same thing. That's a common thing. I didn't see any results, or I spent all my money and now I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks because it takes the faith, right? It takes having done a deal or two to know that that's going to come back and you've got that money to spend on it and say, I'm going to spend it no matter what, just make sure this works.
Yep.
But with PPC, you do, and I had a talk with my friend Paul Lopozo in Florida because he was doing some pay-per-click and he stopped, and I said, why did you stop? Why did you stop doing pay-per-click? And so I wasn't seeing the results. I wasn't, doing it. It's like, well, how much are you spending? And he told me, and I said, well, Paul, what is a deal worth to you? What is a deal worth to you? So I don't know, for me, it's typically about 20, 25,000, maybe 30. Just say 25,000 on average or something between wholesales and flips. Okay, well, how much, how much are you willing to spend to get that deal, right? What do you typically spend to get a deal on other sources you're getting deals from? And this varies all over the place with different people and everything. But we, on average, I think right now are sitting at $2,500, $3,000 per deal.
Okay.
Some people in Houston I talk to are spending $4,000 or more, depending on what they're doing too.
Yep.
And so if you say, okay, well, if I'm typically on direct mail spending $3,000 to get a deal, and you're telling me that you're putting $500 into AdWords for the month, why do you expect that to work? I mean, why do you, maybe in the early days when other people weren't doing, the competition wasn't there, you could get it, right? That could work. So if it's $3,000, why aren't you spending the $3,000? So if you can get, the deal for $3,000 through AdWords as well, which is totally doable in most places, $500 a month, how many months is that going to take? 6 months, but you gave up after the second month. So it's that's what's happening here. So, and what you look at, if you want to look at numbers wise, where you're saying, well, I mean, how do I know if that's going to happen where I am and all that kind of stuff, is, just on average, though, a website that's converting well, will probably get 10%, 10 to 20%, usually closer to maybe 10% conversion rate. So the amount of traffic coming there, 10% of those people will become a lead.
Okay.
90% won't. And we'll get into talk of what to do with the 90% in a minute.
Yep.
But the 10% that do, that's, okay, so you got 100 people going there, and 10 of them become a lead, how many leads do you typically need to get a deal? And that's all over the place. Depends on the investor, right?
Right, of course.
But if you get one deal out of every 10 leads, it becomes a deal. And with AdWords, that tends to be a little bit better because the people are actively looking. You're not just blasting direct mail hoping somebody's like, oh, maybe find out what they offer.
Right, they searched for sell my house fast or something else.
Right. And so, typically, if the 100 people came to your website, 10 of them became leads, you took 10 leads and got a deal out of it. So now you're looking at, well, how much is it going to cost me to get the 100 people? Because that's 100 clicks you need to pay for, right, to get that traffic, to get the deal. And so, that works out to where if you're looking at $3,000, you can spend roughly, on average, about $30 per click, which is pretty good, for some of these keywords and a lot of these competitive markets. Sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes lower. But when I look at what we do here in San Antonio, we're looking at roughly in that range of about $25 on average to $30 per click.
Okay. So therefore a lead is costing you 10x that roughly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about $300 per lead. Okay. Well, I mean, it varies like $200 to $300 and then up to getting that deal. So it's always kind of like moving, but just to put like an idea of what to kind of expect. So if you go in expecting that you're going to have a budget of $50 a day, probably not likely to do
right.
Very well, because that ad spend's going to get burned real quick.
Right. Well, let's talk real fast about retargeting. So this is something that's becoming more and more popular now, a lot more common now for real estate investors. Real estate investors are usually a few steps behind the rest of the world from an advertising standpoint, for sure.
Right. Which is amazing, knowing how much we can profit per deal, right?
I know. Yeah. But maybe that's part of the problem is it's you make so much money that you get a little sloppy. But so let's talk about retargeting, just what that means, and just kind of play off of what you just said is 9 out of 10 of your people to your website don't actually fill out a form. Right.
So what can you do, right? What can you do if they go to your website and they leave? Majority of investors are saying, well, whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't even know that happened. I don't know that many people weren't submitting the form or calling me. And so you got to think about why. Like, why didn't they, right? And so probably the majority of the time, I would figure the person's just not ready yet. It's like they read through, maybe it looks good, but they're just not ready. They're still thinking about what they want to do. They don't want to, reaching out to somebody can be kind of hard for people to do. Even submitting a form online, like there's some trepidation. There's, even if you're real credible, I think a lot of people probably still struggle with that because they don't want to admit this problem.
Right.
Or situation that they're
still in denial a little bit.
Put themselves in. So
yeah.
So what do you do, right? And so what Google and Facebook have allowed us to do is to be able to track them. And so we can put a pixel or do analytics tracking to find out who came to the website. And, after they submit the form, we could have something that says, okay, this person submitted the form, they became a lead, so we don't want to retarget them. But the people that didn't, they came to the website and they didn't submit the form, we can find out kind of who they are. Not individually, but we can remarket them. They won't let us know who they are.
Right.
Because that's just creepy. But but they'll let us remarket them across the internet. So with Google, it's like and I'm sure everybody's kind of been creeped out by this or annoyed by it at least, where you go to Amazon and then you're shopping around a couple days later on every website you go to is that product you were looking at is on there. It's the same principle, right?
Yeah.
Amazon tracked you and now they're marketing you because they know that you didn't buy that thing. And Facebook uses the pixel. And so if they came to your website and they didn't become a lead, you can have it to where when they're on Facebook, they can see your ad show up. So they can see you there as well. And so the way that this best worked that we found at least is starting out with doing Facebook. Because almost everybody's on Facebook. And the thing is, they came to your website, they left, they didn't become a lead. But you can gently remind them. And that's the key, is gently, okay? So never set a frequency of where they're going to see you every single day, multiple times. It's going to annoy them and piss them off. The key is just doing it subtly, So it's like maybe once every two, like day for the first week or something. And then, after that, maybe, once every 3 days, 5 days or something like that.
Sure.
Just because they're not ready. Maybe they didn't see the ad, maybe they did. But the last thing you want to do is annoy them.
Right.
And so setting those frequencies on there is the way to go. And to be able to, so that they've given it some thought. And if you're the only person retargeting them, which a lot of cases you are, you're top of mind above anybody else whenever they do get ready or circumstances change over time. You know, it's the same principle as doing direct mail, where a lot of times everybody's so concerned about what their letter says. When I think a lot of times it's more of just like when that letter landed.
Timing, right.
It's more about timing than so much what you're like. You're not going to say some magical, spell in your letter that's going to convince them to call you over some other letter that just says we want to buy your house.
Right.
It probably has a little bit to do with it, but not probably enough to be measurable, I would think. And so it's more about sending the people who have success with direct mail multiple times to the same list, because what you're trying to get there is not to have them kind of remember you, which is good, because over enough time, even after you stop sending, they could keep them and call you. But it's more of hitting them right when they need it.
Exactly.
Right when they got chewed out by that tenant, that called them a piece of dirt and is calling them every name under the sun and won't get out of their house, and they don't know what to do. Whereas 3 months ago, they were paying and everything was great, so they had no need for that card that went straight to the trash. But now, it's like, they're going to need it. They're going to call you. So
and they kept saying, you kept seeing your brand, and now they're like, they just subconsciously even maybe just, wow, this person, I see this person everywhere. Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. And mix it up. Don't just have that same ad, right? Don't just have the same ad, because it could be different reasons also that, if you didn't convince them enough that you're the person that they want to work with, credibility maybe wasn't there, that they saw when they were there, they were just there quickly. Have some testimonial ads. Have those kind of things. Have the stories. Have ads that you're showing, in front of a house that you just bought, and you tell of the people's circumstances of the how you bought it, why you bought it, how you helped them, and if you have a testimony from them, having that at the end of that quick video that's only 1 or 2 minutes is just awesome. It works really well.
Yeah. Back to the reviews and stuff. Just that social proof of, you're telling me what you can do, but now somebody else is actually advocating for you. So yeah.
Right. And even if you don't have the testimonials, showing people, because everybody loves the house flipping shows, right? Like everybody loves watching people knock over walls and make something ugly pretty.
Right.
And so just even having those, like where you're showing people what you do, because, we're all fascinated by that. And we kind of want to know. It's like I've even found myself, even though I could care less about plumbing, like I've seen something on YouTube where a guy's showing how he did this thing to fix this plumbing thing. And he's just talking about his business, but he's showing how to fix this thing. And I'm like, this is brilliant marketing. It doesn't seem like it would be. It's like, I feel like this guy knows what he's doing, and he taught me something.
Right.
That taught me something, I think, is what really made me pay attention to it. But,
yeah.
So I think there's more there. More there. Sorry, my voice is going out, but
that's what happens when you sing karaoke all weekend long, man. Yeah.
I wish that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, Danny, this is good stuff. Let's maybe just take like a minute and just tell people, like a real high level again, if they want to take action, they want to beef up their website, or they want to start their website, real high level, what they should be focused on in terms of building an online presence and brand.
Yeah, so real high level is having a website, first of all, right? Making sure that you've got the credibility factors in there, the Better Business Bureau, the testimonials, even if they're not from sellers because you're a new investor, getting them from friends and colleagues that don't say that you bought a house from them. Don't lie. Don't have them lie, but just have them speak about your character, or speak to your character. And that just goes a long way. I mean, it's amazing. Other people, if you're using a title company, if you're using some mortgage brokers, stuff like that, we've got all those people have left us awesome testimonials. Have those on there. Make sure you've got a clear call to action on your website. And then work on getting traffic to it. Work on getting, doing those Craigslist ads. Look into doing SEO. We have training for SEO and stuff like that through Lead Propeller. And then I'm doing a webinar, and maybe I can mention that in a little bit, where I can explain a little bit more about, how to have success online through these different paid and free traffic sources. Mm-hmm. And then, the thing is just being consistent, right? And like having it be one of those things, because so many investors, we get caught up in the whole shiny object thing where we like, oh man, that's the new hot thing. I'm going to go do that.
Right.
No, here's this other thing. I'm going to go do that. It starts getting hard, so I'm going to start doing this other thing. And really, when you talk to the high level guys, around the country doing really big business in flipping, they typically are just masters of a couple things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're not doing 20 different marketing strategies. They're doing a couple that are working really well for them, and they stick to it. So
right. Yep, you're right.
And so having that and just like choosing to be that thing that you maybe do. But like I said, even if you're not, it's something that needs to be there because of this thing where people are going online to find out more about you, and it's sort of forcing everybody to do it. And it's a good thing. We can be frustrated by it and say, oh, I don't want to, I don't understand it, I don't want to do it. But it's good for everybody, because when that person needs you, just like when we were looking for somebody for a pool, it's so nice to be able to have something from somebody else or see their website and see that, but then also see these things from Google My Business where people have left reviews, Facebook, and having these other ways to vet companies. And you got to be able to and you can use that to your advantage if you just embrace it.
Sure.
And be that company that's vetted so that everybody wants to work with you, and you get that leverage.
That's good stuff, man. And the internet is clearly not going away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you thought it was a fad, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Hey, if folks want to learn more about you, obviously you create websites for people and help them build their presence. Tell us more about how they can get a hold of you or learn more.
Okay, so you can go to, I have a blog at flippingjunkie.com. It's also a podcast on iTunes, Flipping Junkie. That's Junkie. And then our websites, you can get a website set up within minutes. You just go to leadpropeller.com. It's called leadpropeller.com. Check out the demo. You can check out some demo videos and see what it's all about. And then I've also got a webinar that's teaching more people, because that's the thing. It's like people get the website and say, well, what do I do? What do I do? We have training in Lead Propeller, but I wanted to offer something more in the way of a more, bigger picture strategy to kind of give people the high level view of what they should be doing. So I've got this webinar at sellerleadhacks.com. Sellerleadhacks. Man, sellerleadhacks.com. And you can check that out for free for the web training.
Sounds good. We'll add links down below in the show notes here in the video. So, Danny, great to see you.
Oh, thank you, Mike. It was good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your insights with everybody here today.
No problem. I hope everybody takes something from it and puts it to use to really help gain advantage in their business. And
yep,
got a flop there to see you.
Everybody's we've been talking about here, we've had a few shows lately where we're talking about the importance of just taking small steps. So if some of this sounds overwhelming, just carve it up into small steps and just get started really is the key. You'd agree with that, right, Danny?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Everybody, this was show number 396 with Danny Johnson. Hope you appreciate it today. Hope you learned a few things. I'm going to add the links down below here, but you gotta get online. Even if you're advertising offline, people are going to look for you online. Even if you don't put your web address, they're just Googling your name and trying to see what they can find. Somebody just said that to me, that they saw some stuff I was doing. They literally just started to Google my name and see what they could find out about me. And the guy's basically said he totally stalked me, and then he wanted to work with me after that, after whatever he found. Nice. I don't know what he found, but good, bad, or ugly, people are looking for you online. So, everybody, if you haven't done it yet, please go out to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere where you're watching us or listening to us right now, and give us a positive review. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave some feedback. We'd appreciate that. That positive feedback is what kind of fuels us to keep moving forward here. So, Danny, thanks again for being with us today.
No problem, Mike. Thanks.
Yep. Everybody, this is show number 396. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you on another upcoming show. Take care. Are you looking to change your life through real estate investing? If you're interested in either getting started or taking your business to the next level, please check out FlipNerd's Real Estate Investor Coaching Program at flipnerd.com/coaching. I'm Mike Hambright, founder of FlipNerd.com. I'm not only a successful real estate investor that's purchased hundreds of houses directly myself, I've been a mentor and coach for real estate investors for over 8 years. In fact, I've mentored hundreds of other investors, many of which started with little to no prior experience. And during the time that I mentored those specific investors, they purchased over 3,500 properties. There are a lot of so-called gurus and experts all across the country, most of which have nowhere near the level of personal experience needed to teach others how to build a successful and sustainable real estate investing business. Very few others have as much experience as I do, not only teaching others how to get started in real estate investing, but also showing others how to truly build a real business with systems and processes and all the tools to allow you to consistently do deals, so you have a real business, not just a hobby and not just a dream. We have limited access in our program on how many people we can work with at a time. If you'd like to learn more about our FlipNerd Real Estate Investor Coaching Program, we'd like to schedule a call with you to see if you might be a fit. If this sounds exciting to you, please visit flipnerd.com/coaching to schedule a call with a member of my team. We're looking to change lives through real estate investing. I've worked with many others. If you'd like for us to consider you, please go to flipnerd.com/coaching right now to get started. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the FlipNerd.com Investing Show. If you're not yet an elite member of FlipNerd, you're missing out. We have tons of great training, including a new detailed master class published each month and live training webinars with experts twice a month. Plus, you'll get access to all of our archives, where we already have a growing library of master classes and other training videos. Elite members also get membership in our incredible online mastermind group, where many of the top real estate investors from across the country, including many of the hundreds of guests I've had on the show in the past, are already members. Whether you're brand new, looking to get started, or a veteran, you simply must join today. I promise you won't be disappointed. To learn more or join today, please visit flipnerd.com/lab. That's flipnerd.com/lab. See you on the next show.